How does it feel to be a police officer on social media?
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, I mean, it's a little bit more stressful because I realize now that I don't know who knows who I am, who may have seen a video, who may have seen something. But, you know, we go out there and we deal with some stuff that not a lot of people want to deal with when we deal with the homeless and the situation and people's mentality or people's feelings towards what the law enforcement is doing is not always positive. So there are more than enough people that come out here and film us and try to see what you're doing and making comments and stuff like that. And, you know, every now and then we try to give them an opportunity to hear our side. But, you know, that doesn't always make the social media part because, you know, a lot of times the people that are posting these things are trying to show how people are being negative to people. So, of course, they're only going to post that part. You know, that's one thing we talk to the kids about is, you know, when you see all these things on social media, you know, you don't see the true story. You know, you only get a part of it. So that's why with our body cams that we have now, the police department has had the opportunity to show what we've done, what we've seen, versus what's been edited to prove their side and their point and stuff like that. So, but yeah, being on social media, it's a crazy thing. You know, I try to be careful because, you know, again, there's always a concern that people are going to be negative towards my family because of my opinions.
Understood. That would be one of the biggest fears for me.
Yeah.
You know, being in the public eye, you know, upholding the law and enforcing the law, and then having to worry about your wife when she's going to work or your kids when they go to school.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, there's been some instances where some people have recognized me with my son, and they made a comment to my son and stuff like that, and you know, and it wasn't really negative to my son, but it's more negative about me to my son. But you know, like I tell my son, you know, if they're talking about me being a certain way because I arrested someone, I say, well, you know, if I arrested them, I had enough reason to. So it's not necessarily just me. But, you know, one of the things that I felt and I talk to people about as a policeman, I feel if you're respectful and you treat people fairly, even when you got to do the bad thing like arrest them, there's somewhat of respect. You know, I work with a lot of homeless people for years in the Eva area, especially. And, you know, I can go out there and I can go and sit down and talk story with somebody. And then I can come back next week and give him a ticket. And I can come back the following week and give him actually arrest him. And then he'll come back out and we'll sit down, we'll talk story. You know, and it's just, you know, letting them know that, hey, you know, I'm doing my job. You're making these choices. You know, it's nothing personal. You need help, I'm here to help you. But until then, I got to do my job. So
that's a very valuable perspective to have as an officer, I think, you know, to be able to prioritize what needs to happen, when it needs to, be able to be professional, right? And to protect and serve, man. Yeah. So, I mean, what would you say to those out there who shame police officers?
You know, the thing is, sadly, you know, some people do have negative experiences with the police department. You know, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that think that what's happening on TV is, you know, in TV shows is the way that things are going to work outside. You know, one of the biggest things with my job now in this position is trying to teach the community to manage your expectations. Because there's someone that, you know, will call the police and they'll say, oh, how come they didn't arrest this guy? I want them arrested. And say, well, because there's not enough for me to arrest them. Oh, but I want you to arrest them. We can't just do that. But, you know, people have their different encounters for different reasons. You know, unfortunately, there's people that won't accept their responsibility at times. So it's always going to be the police that arrested them. You know, there's some people that have a negative connotation towards the police because, you know, we go and arrest someone and then we do what we need to do and the person is released and set back and they're back on the road. Yeah. And, you know, my thing with that is telling them, you know, hey, we arrest them. Once the arrest is done, we have no control over how long they stay or what happens. You know, so don't say that the police are not doing their job because this guy's back on the road. You know, there's another process. There's a prosecution, there's a courts, there's the judges. All of those people come into play once we do our arrest. So, again, it's one of those things that people look quickly to blame the police that they're back out on the road.
You know, I want to ask you, what are some of the trends in is it 25 years, 26 years that you've been in?
I'll be 26 in March. Yeah.
So 26 years. What are some of the trends that you've noticed in law enforcement throughout the years?
Well, trends as far as there's been a lot of changes in how we do our job and what we're expected to do. That's one thing that we talk about a lot is that, as a police officer, these people come into the police academy and they expect to go out and enforce the law and arrest people. What a lot of them don't expect to do is to become social workers and marriage counselors and juvenile counselors and, the dog catchers and the chicken catchers. So a lot of things revolve around using the police to do whatever people need that people don't want to do. So there's been a lot of changes with that. Social media has been a big thing, with, before, you do your job and you could see the camera because there's a big old thing on people's shoulder filming what you're doing. Now it's little cameras, little phones, little pen cameras and kind of stuff. And so it's one of those things that, you have to be aware that, you're always on stage per se,
And you're also wearing many hats.
Yeah.
You're not just enforcing the law.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a big thing, and that's why a lot of people, even some of the lawmakers that I talk to, their feeling is that the way society has gotten is it makes it like the police are always the bad guys, because we got to go out and we got to deal with the homeless. But should there be another agency that does that? Because that's not a police responsibility. My thing is, but if you have somebody on the beach that's littering, changing their oil on their mopeds, all that kind of, that's all law enforcement stuff. But when it comes to the social aspect of the mental illness, the drug abuse, alcohol abuse, all that kind of stuff is it's really beyond our comprehension. I mean, think about it. I don't want to make it sound bad, but all you need to become a police officer is a high school diploma. You don't have guys coming out with master's and bachelor's degrees that are becoming a patrol officer. So a lot of these guys are coming in and they're learning a lot on the job or based on what they're training you to be prepared for. And then after that, it's all, hey, this is how it worked last time with this guy. Let me try this. This is what I did last time. Let me see if this works. So just the whole, in regards to the trends, social media, the other thing is, for that one period, we had that whole big defund police kind of thing. People think that if the cops weren't there, crime would go away.
Yeah. Have you ever had a struggle or like a problem apprehending someone? It's just stronger than you, or maybe mentally unstable, or
yeah, we get those. You
gotta get like 5 officers on them.
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes it's not even the ones you expect. Really? It's not the 6'5" guy.
Really?
It's the 5'7" guy, the 110-pound guy that is either on drugs or just mental illness just gives you that superpower that it takes people to take them down. And then as a male officer, there's always that issue when you're trying to arrest a female that's fighting, because you want to try to be as respectful as possible. You don't want people to say, "Oh, you're grabbing them here, you're grabbing them there." So you're trying to arrest them as gently as you can, but still get them arrested when they're fighting you and stuff like that. So, I like to say that, I had to chase a couple of people when I was a little bit younger.
Yeah.
Fortunately, not so much now.
Not a rookie's got to get on.
Yeah. So I make sure I got a bunch of young guys and girls that are in shape, that ready to run if we got to run. And, I tell everybody, you might be able to run from me, but you're not going to run from my radio.
Yeah, I got you. Hey, I did want to ask you too, because you told me that you were kind of interested in like space and UFO extraterrestrials and stuff, which I'm really into that stuff too. Just the mystery of it all. But have you ever had like a call about something supernatural?
Unfortunately, no. No, I've talked to people, and they used to say that the Waianae station was haunted. Yeah, the Kapolei station is haunted and stuff. I've never had any of those. When I used to work at night, especially on the Waianae side, I used to park at the beach and look up and just wait for them to come. And let me know you're out there, kind of thing. But unfortunately, no. Yeah, okay. I have my beliefs about those things, and unfortunately, I haven't had that opportunity to have it either confirmed or denied. Either way.
Well, you're not retired yet, bro.
Yeah. Still got some time.
So, I did want to ask you too, like, so as a police officer, like for me as a restaurateur, when I go home, I don't really like to watch food shows because I'm doing it for a career, right? I spend a lot of my time doing that. What about you? Do you go home and watch Magnum PI, or do you have a favorite police movie, law enforcement movie?
Don't really have a favorite police movie, but yeah, I do watch them. I used to watch like Hawaii Five-0 when it was on, Magnum and stuff. And a lot of times we used to watch those, especially the newer seasons that came up, was more because you see guys you work with. They use a lot of actual policemen for the show, so we used to go there and just watch that kind of stuff. It's funny at times to see how they do things, and even funnier when you go actually to an actual case and someone references something like that. And you can do this kind of stuff. I had I don't mean to be too disgusting, but we went to a house one time. Somebody went and used the bathroom in the person's house that they broke into. Didn't flush the toilet, and the person insisted that I take a sample of the human waste and run it for DNA and find out who it was. But
can you do that?
No. Well, first of all, the thing is, DNA is only based on people you got, right? I mean, if you arrested somebody, they took a DNA sample, so you're not gonna
match.
Yeah. So that was the one thing. I mean, now with 21andMe and all that kind of stuff, you can find it, but that's something that we wouldn't do. And I wouldn't call our scientific investigators out to say, hey, can you come collect this fecal matter and see
that
who it
is
belongs to?
a little stew sample. To me, that's funny, but I'm more concerned with who took a dump in somebody's house.
You'd be surprised at and sometimes we find out that hey, they didn't go there to do anything malicious. It's maybe somebody high, mental illness that just didn't realize where they were and needed to do something. And we've had guys that broke into a house and just made a sandwich and left. Wow. Kind of thing. So you never know. You never know.
Yeah.
And like I said, that's the one thing when people talk about being a police officer. I say, you get to see some crazy stuff. You get to see some crazy stuff. So